Hello, Virgo. Thank you for being here. It's Anna here from Virgo, and the threshold you're crossing right now rewrites everything. Subscribe immediately because this transformation is already beginning. Mm, okay, there's fundamental shift occurring in the very fabric of your existence, not surface level adjustment where things get slightly better in predictable ways, but deep structural reorganization where the operating system of your life gets upgraded to version you didn't know existed, where scarcity programming that's been running in background since childhood finally mercifully gets deleted and replaced with abundance code that changes how you perceive, how you receive, how you move through the world that suddenly looks nothing like the world you've been navigating, because world hasn't changed. Your capacity to see what's available has changed. Your worthiness to claim what's offered has changed. Your frequency has shifted to match the abundance that's always been trying to reach you but couldn't penetrate the scarcity shield you didn't even know you were wearing. This isn't temporary windfall that arrives and departs, leaving you back where you started. Isn't lucky break that improves one area while others remain stuck. This is permanent elevation of your baseline systemic transformation, where multiple domains shift simultaneously because they're all connected to same root frequency. And when root frequency changes from scarcity to abundance, from lack to overflow, from struggle to ease, every branch fed by that root transforms accordingly. Every aspect of your life touched by your internal state reorganizes to match the new vibration you're embodying, often so quickly that the speed of change itself becomes disorienting, becomes something you need time to adjust to trust as real rather than temporary reprieve before next disaster. And the forever that anchors this message, that's promise that what's shifting isn't shifting back, that the door opening isn't closing again, that the abundance arriving isn't departing after brief visit, that you're entering new normal that becomes your actual normal, not exceptional state you visit occasionally, but foundational reality you live from consistently. Because something in you has finally permanently shifted in ways that make return to old patterns impossible, not because circumstances prevent return, but because you've evolved beyond capacity to tolerate what you used to accept. You've expanded beyond ability to contract back into smallness you used to inhabit. You've awakened to truth about your worthiness that can't be unlearned, no matter how much fear or doubt tries to convince you otherwise. In the sacred alchemy of permanent transformation versus temporary improvement, what distinguishes forever change from fleeting change is internal shift rather than external shift. External circumstances can always reverse. Money can be lost. Relationships can end. Opportunities can evaporate. But internal transformation, genuine consciousness shift, actual evolution of who you are and how you relate to reality, that's permanent in ways external changes never are. That's foundation that weathers storms, because foundation is your being, is your frequency that external circumstances respond to and reflect, but can't ultimately control or diminish unless you give them that power by forgetting who you've become. Let me illuminate what this permanent shift into abundance actually means and looks like. In the architecture of abundance consciousness, replacing scarcity consciousness. Certain foundational beliefs dissolve while new beliefs crystallize into your operating system. The belief that there's not enough, that you have to fight for your share, that someone else's gain means your loss, that success requires sacrifice of joy or health or relationships. These scarcity beliefs that have been running your choices, consciously or unconsciously, start crumbling under weight of new evidence your life is providing, evidence that there's enough for everyone, that collaboration serves better than competition, that you can have success and joy and health and love simultaneously rather than having to choose between them, that ease is possible, that flow is real, that the universe actually wants you to thrive and actively supports that thriving when you finally stop blocking it with beliefs that say thriving isn't safe or isn't deserved or isn't possible for someone like you. Your current internal landscape is likely already experiencing early tremors of this belief system earthquake, moments where old scarcity thoughts arise and immediately feel false, feel like lies you can't believe anymore, even if you used to believe them religiously. Moments where you catch yourself operating from abundance naturally, making choices from overflow rather than lack, trusting that what you need will appear rather than hoarding or controlling or desperately grasping. Mm. These moments might feel unfamiliar, might even feel dangerous, because your nervous system has been trained to associate scarcity with safety, has been conditioned to believe that expecting the worst protects you from disappointment, has been programmed to think that counting on good things makes you naive or sets you up for devastation when good things inevitably get taken away. Watch for resistance that arises as abundance tries to establish itself as your new normal. Resistance that sounds like this is too good to be true, or I don't deserve this, or something bad must be coming to balance this good. Resistance that tries to reject gifts, deflect compliments, minimize successes, sabotage opportunities, create drama that destroys peace, because your system is more comfortable with struggle than ease, more familiar with lack than plenty, more accustomed to surviving than thriving. This resistance isn't enemy, it's outdated protection mechanism trying to keep you safe in ways that no longer serve, trying to prevent disappointment by preventing hope, trying to avoid loss by refusing to receive, and your work is recognizing resistance with compassion while choosing abundance anyway, while saying yes to what's offered even when yes feels vulnerable, while letting yourself have good things even when having good things activates every wound around unworthiness or impermanence. Some abundance arrives as financial shift, money flowing with less effort and more consistency, income increasing in ways that feel disproportionate to input opportunities, generating resources beyond what you're accustomed to earning or receiving. And this financial abundance isn't just about numbers in account, though numbers matter, obviously. It's about relationship with money, transforming from anxiety ridden scarcity to relaxed sufficiency, from constant worry about having enough to trust that enough will be there, from making decisions based primarily on cost to making decisions based on value and alignment, knowing that money isn't scarce resource you must hoard, but flowing energy you can give and receive freely because flow itself ensures supply. You might be entering exactly this kind of financial transformation, where job offers arrive that pay substantially more than you've been making, where side projects start generating income that exceeds expectations, where unexpected money appears through gifts or refunds or opportunities you weren't actively seeking, where investments finally pay off, or debts finally get forgiven, or resources finally materialize in ways that shift your baseline from paycheck to paycheck survival to actual breathing room, actual capacity to make choices based on what you want rather than just what you can afford. The shift won't just be external numbers, it'll be internal peace. Sleep that comes easier because you're not lying awake calculating how to cover necessities. Presence that comes naturally because your mind isn't constantly running survival, logistics, generosity that flows freely because giving from overflow feels different than giving from depletion. Others arrive as relational abundance, people entering your life who see you, value you, reciprocate your energy in ways that feel like finally being met after years of one sided dynamics. Friendships that nourish rather than drain, romantic connection that enhances rather than diminishes, professional relationships that support rather than exploit, family dynamics that shift from toxic to tolerable or even genuinely loving as you claim boundaries that protect your peace and others, either respect those boundaries or remove themselves from your sphere. This relational abundance isn't necessarily about quantity, about having more relationships. Often it's about quality, about relationships that actually feed your soul rather than constantly demanding you give from empty tank is less than hash zero. 5 hash is greater than. About being surrounded by people who celebrate your wins rather than compete with them or minimize them, who support your growth rather than fear it or sabotage it, who love you as you are rather than who they need you to be for their comfort. Still others manifest as experiential abundance, life becoming richer in texture and depth and joy, ordinary moments carrying sweetness that was absent when you were just surviving, beauty becoming visible that you couldn't perceive through fog of stress and scarcity, laughter coming easier, tears of gratitude rather than despair, presence to simple pleasures that get overlooked when your bandwidth is consumed by crisis management, ability to rest without guilt, to play without feeling you should be productive, to enjoy without waiting for other shoe to drop. This abundance of being, of experiencing fullness in your actual lived moments rather than constantly postponing life until conditions improve, is sometimes most profound abundance because it's available regardless of external circumstances. It's shift in how you inhabit your existence that makes everything richer, everything more saturated with meaning and beauty and possibility. This reflection invites you to consider which domain of abundance, financial, relational, or experiential, do you most long to experience transformation in? Let me clarify what your life changes forever specifically promises about permanence and irreversibility. Forever means this isn't phase you'll grow out of, isn't temporary elevation that collapses back to previous baseline once initial momentum exhausts itself is less than hash zero. 5 hash is greater than. This is new foundation that holds, new normal that stabilizes, new operating system that doesn't revert to previous version because you've genuinely evolved beyond it. Because Consciousness that expands doesn't contract back to previous size. Awareness that awakens doesn't fall back into unconsciousness. Worthiness that gets claimed doesn't unclaim itself just because life presents challenges or setbacks. You might face difficulties in your abundant life. Abundance doesn't mean immunity from problems, but you'll face those difficulties from resourced state rather than depleted state, from overflow rather than scarcity, from foundation of enough rather than foundation of never enough. And that makes every challenge more navigable, every setback more temporary, every storm more survivable because you're not weathering it alone and empty, but supported and full. In the distinction between temporary improvement and permanent transformation changes your baseline frequency, your default state, your resting vibration. So even when you're having bad day or difficult week or challenging month, your baseline is still abundance, your center is still overflow, your foundation is still enough. And you return to that baseline naturally rather than having to constantly fight to maintain elevation. Temporary improvements feel like work, require constant effort to sustain, collapse when effort wanes. Permanent transformations feel like coming home, require effort to remember and embody initially, but eventually become automatic, become who you are rather than what you're trying to maintain, become your natural state rather than achievement you're constantly re-earning. It's essential you trust the permanence rather than waiting for collapse, rather than sabotaging the good because you're convinced good can't last, so you might as well destroy it yourself before life destroys it. Rather than refusing to relax into abundance because relaxing feels naive or dangerous or like tempting fate to take it away. Your trust in the permanence is part of what makes it permanent. Your willingness to believe this is real, this is mine, this is staying, helps stabilize the transformation, helps your nervous system accept the new baseline as safe rather than constantly activating fight or flight because abundance feels too unfamiliar to trust. Let yourself have it. Let yourself keep it. Let yourself believe that your life has genuinely changed in ways that aren't changing back, because you've changed in ways that don't change back, because evolution is one way door, because consciousness that wakes up stays awake even when it gets tired or forgetful or temporarily distracted by old patterns. Some people experiencing permanent shift into abundance feel guilty, feel they don't deserve it while others still struggle, feel they should downplay their good fortune to avoid making others feel bad, feel they need to apologize for thriving or hide their abundance to maintain relationships with people still in scarcity. But your abundance doesn't diminish others. Your thriving doesn't cause their lack. Your overflow doesn't drain their resources. And modeling what's possible, living proof that transformation is real, being example that abundance is achievable, serves others more than shrinking yourself or hiding your light or pretending you're still struggling when you're not. Be generous with your overflow, yes. Share from your plenty, absolutely. But don't diminish yourself. Don't hide your transformation. Don't make yourself smaller to accommodate others' discomfort with your expansion. This reflection invites you to consider, can you trust that this transformation is permanent, or are you already bracing for it to be taken away? Let me address what Say Hi to Abundance invites you to do as active participant. Say Hi suggests you need to greet abundance consciously, acknowledge its arrival, welcome it deliberately rather than just letting it happen to you passively. And this greeting is important because abundance that arrives to someone who doesn't recognize it or receive it or claim it often passes through without leaving lasting impact, often gets deflected or minimized or rejected by unworthiness programming that can't accept good things, by scarcity conditioning that interprets gifts as debts, creating future obligation, by fear that accepting abundance makes you vulnerable to loss if abundance departs. Your active greeting, your conscious welcoming, your deliberate claiming of, yes, I see you, yes, I receive you, yes, I'm saying hi to you and inviting you to stay. This active participation helps abundance establish itself in your reality, helps your nervous system recognize it as friend rather than threat, helps you become host who makes abundance feel welcome rather than a confused guest who doesn't know if they're wanted and leaves awkwardly when welcome isn't clear. In the practice of greeting abundance actively is less than #0, 5 is greater than, you're doing several things simultaneously. You're acknowledging that abundance is here, is real, is actually happening rather than ignoring it or dismissing it or waiting for it to prove itself before you'll believe it. You're expressing gratitude, which is powerful frequency that attracts more of what you're grateful for, that signals to universe, yes, more of this, please, in language universe responds to reliably. You're claiming ownership, saying, this is mine, I'm receiving this, I'm allowing myself to have this rather than keeping it at arm's length as if it belongs to someone else or showed up at wrong address. And you're opening yourself to relationship with abundance, to ongoing connection rather than one-time transaction, to welcoming abundance not just as visitor but as permanent resident in your life. It's important you develop actual practices for greeting abundance rather than just thinking about greeting it. Concrete actions that embody your welcome, that make your greeting tangible. Whether that's gratitude journaling, where you name every abundance you notice, whether that's ritual where you literally speak welcome to resources or opportunities or relationships arriving, whether that's allowing yourself to fully enjoy good things without immediately looking for problems or waiting for disasters, whether that's spending money or time or energy in ways that reflect abundance rather than scarcity, making choices that say, I have enough, rather than choices that say, I have to hoard and protect and control because there might not be more. Some abundance greeting happens through simply saying yes. Yes to the offer, yes to the opportunity, yes to the gift, yes to the compliment, yes to the date, yes to the support. Yes to all the good things your scarcity programming wants you to refuse or deflect or minimize. Every yes is greeting. Every acceptance is welcome. Every claiming is invitation for more abundance to follow because abundance flows toward people who receive it gracefully, who use it wisely, who appreciate it genuinely, who demonstrate through their receiving that they're good stewards of what they're given, that giving to them serves the giver because the gift lands well, gets honored, gets enjoyed rather than rejected or wasted or taken for granted. This reflection invites you to consider, what would greeting abundance look like in practical terms for you? What actual practices or choices or shifts would embody your welcome? Let me speak to what you need to release as abundance establishes itself as your new normal. Release the identity of struggling person, person for whom life is hard, person who has to fight for everything, person defined by what you've overcome rather than by what you're creating. Because that identity, however earned, however true it's been, becomes cage that prevents you from embodying abundance that's trying to establish itself. Becomes story that keeps recreating struggle. Because struggle is familiar, is known, is what you've mastered through necessity. And some part of you fears that if you're not struggling, you won't know who you are, won't know how to be, won't know what your purpose is. If your purpose has been surviving and now survival is handled and thriving is what's available. Release the need to earn abundance through suffering, the belief that good things must be balanced by bad things, the conviction that ease means you're not working hard enough, or that joy means you're ignoring real problems. All the scarcity programming that says abundance must be paid for through sacrifice, through exhaustion, through giving up something precious in exchange for receiving something wanted. Abundance that's real, that's aligned, that's sustainable, doesn't require you to destroy yourself to deserve it, doesn't demand you prove worthiness through pain, doesn't need to be balanced by equal measure of suffering. It just is. It just comes. It just flows to you because you've become vibrational match for it, because you've opened to receive it, because you've claimed worthiness that was always yours, but you forgot or never knew. Release relationships and situations that can't accommodate your abundance, that require you to stay small to maintain connection, that punish your growth or resent your success, that drain your overflow faster than abundance can fill your tank. This doesn't mean abandon everyone who's struggling, doesn't mean only associate with people at your level or above, means honor yourself enough to step away from dynamics where your abundance gets weaponized against you, where your thriving becomes reason for others to make you responsible for their lack, where your evolution gets constrained because maintaining relationship requires you to stay who you were rather than becoming who you are. Some relationships will naturally fall away as you shift into abundance is less than #0. 5# is greater than. Not because anyone's bad or wrong, but because vibrational mismatch becomes too uncomfortable for both parties, because you're moving in directions they're not moving, and they're staying in places you can't stay anymore without violating yourself. Most importantly, release the waiting, the hedging, the holding back until you're absolutely sure abundance is permanent before you fully trust it. Because that waiting prevents the very permanence you're waiting for. That doubt undermines the foundation you're trying to build. That refusal to commit to your own abundance keeps abundance tentative, keeps it provisional, keeps it will see, rather than this is real and this is mine and I'm living from this now. Trust it now, claim it now, live from it now. Make choices that reflect abundance now rather than waiting until some future moment when you'll finally feel safe enough to believe it. Because that future moment never comes if you don't start living it in present moment. If you don't start being the person who has abundance rather than a person who's waiting to have abundance someday when conditions are perfect. May you claim the abundance that's claiming you. May you say yes to the overflow that's arriving. May you trust the forever that's beginning. May you become permanently person who lives in plenty rather than person who survives in lack. Your life is changing. Abundance is arriving. Forever has started. Welcome it home. Remember this: abundance isn't reward for being perfect, isn't prize for finally deserving it through accumulated suffering. Is natural state of universe that becomes accessible when you remove blocks preventing its flow is less than has home. Zero hash is greater than. When you heal wounds that made you believe you weren't worthy, when you release programming that said there's not enough, when you shift frequency from fear to trust, from control to flow, from scarcity to overflow, you're not earning abundance through this transformation. You're remembering you were always meant to have it, always worthy of it, always capable of holding it, just needed to grow into person who could receive it without deflecting, without sabotaging, without destroying what you're finally allowing yourself to have. Your life changes forever starting now. Abundance is your new normal starting now, and saying hi to it, welcoming it, claiming it, living from it. These aren't future aspirations, but a present reality you're stepping into with every choice, every thought, every belief that says yes to overflow, yes to ease, yes to enough, yes to more than enough, yes to the abundant life that's yours, not because you earned it, but because you exist. And existence itself is worthiness. And worthiness itself is key that unlocks every abundance that's been waiting for you to finally claim it. Your life changes forever now. Say hi to abundance. It's been waiting for you. You're finally ready for it.